Let's bring in our next guest, who's a BYU grad, who is playing a key role in raising money to support athletes and athletics at BYU in a very creative way, called Waypoint Travel. And we are pleased and happy to welcome Matt Sanders to the Wise Guys. There's a lot of questions about NIL, about rev share, and we thought we'd take a few minutes and visit with an expert who's right in the middle of all that stuff and has a few ideas for how Cougar fans can get involved and make a difference in helping carry the load as we move forward into this really brave new world of college sports. People ask me all the time, they go, hey, how's that NIL working for BYU? And I said, well, went to the Sweet 16 last year and went 11-2. It's working fine. But it's our pleasure to welcome Matt to the show. Thank you for being here.
Such a pleasure being here. I remember our times when I was at Deseret Digital fondly. So knew Jason and you, Dave. And
yeah.
And Daryl Brown's my neighbor up in Heber Valley.
Good
so
man.
Lots of good connections,
there
right?
You go.
What do you think of our lair?
I love it. It's so great. I think the BYU Sailor Cougs should be a little more central, though.
Well, you're right. We had to put the sponsors in the middle. We're businessmen.
Yeah, smart.
But that's the first time someone thought. A lot of people say, "Hey, that U is too. You can see it too well. It should go in the corner."
But you could shift that really tall locker over a little bit, and it would cut off half of it.
Yeah. Half the U. You're
That's
right.
not bad. That's a good idea.
It's good that we get some outside ideas on occasion because we just get lost in what we got going on. But Matt, tell us about and describe really. To kind of set the preface for what we want to talk about, the financial challenge facing BYU athletics now that schools are sharing revenue with their athletes. What is it?
Yeah, so there's been several tectonic shifts in college athletics. It started with NIL, which is basically university athletes having the opportunity to go and sell their name, image, and likeness in the marketplace to receive payment. And that's been around for several years. And then the next shift was the transfer portal that made these university athletes mobile. There was a house settlement. It was called the house settlement.
Right.
That then made it required of some schools who opted in to, as part of the settlement, to share revenue with the university athletes who are working effectively in building the name, image, and likeness and delivering revenue to the university.
And that started July 1.
The July 1. It's been on everybody's radar for some time, and it became official July 1. I was I was at the National Association of College Directors and Athletics, NACTA, on July 8th and 9th, June 8th and 9th, and it was announced that previous Friday. And what an environment that was to see those college athletic directors talking about nothing else but revenue share. It was remarkable. The compliance officers, the marketing folks, the athletic directors had direct conversations with athletic directors, and all they're thinking about is how do we now fill this $20.5 million hole in the bottom of our revenue boat?
How prepared did everybody feel at the time? Because I've got to assume a lot probably were somewhat prepared, but in large part, I've got to imagine everybody was trying to figure out how in the world are we going to do this?
Yeah, my sense was that they were waiting. They had some things in the works. They were contingency planning in terms of hiring general managers. BYU's done the same. Andrew Luck, right?
From Stanford, yes.
So hired him to be the general manager. So that was a trend. Chief business officers, they started pre-positioning some resources inside their departments to become more business-like, to think about their programs in a different way.
So every year, BYU gets a sum of money from the Big 12 through their membership. I think it's between $40 and $50 million once it's maxed out. And I think they're close to that. So that money comes in. And does that money then, is that the pile where they take the $20 million to pay their student athletes in their rev share plan? Or is it that's going to other stuff and guys like you have to go raise $20 million?
Yeah, it's a great question. In most cases, the universities had already earmarked much of that revenue. BYU is in a really good spot because they were frugal. And I talked to one of the administrators of the BYU system, and he said, we don't know what we're going to do with all that money. Well, now they know. Right. But other programs are in the hole, right? They're running in the red, and so now they have to come up with another $20.5 million, even with the largesse that they're getting from their conferences and from postseason play.
One of the things that it's been interesting to watch is just how creative teams and people in this venue are getting in order to be able to raise funds. So tell everybody what Waypoint Travel is and how it works.
Yeah, great. When we were thinking, a couple of years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, we really believe that the BYU entrepreneurial ecosystem will be part of our solution. And I said, challenge accepted. Let's figure out a way to think about this differently. And our donors at BYU have been phenomenal in supporting what we now see as Jane Hedegren and AJ DeBonsa and Ryder Lyons. And people were looking around like, how in the world is BYU doing this? Well, what's interesting, if you think about the larger asset that BYU has, which is this loyalty and almost maniacal passion for BYU, and that can be said about most colleges. If you just look at what BYU alumni, 600,000-ish alumni, spend on their global travel, London, Hawaii, right? It's about $3.5 billion a year on lodging and theme park tickets. So we said, well...
And churros.
Yeah,
a big chunk of that for churros.
Exactly.
Churros are delicious.
Of all the budget items that somebody has in their lives, their mortgage, their fuel budget, et cetera, most of those aren't fungible. They can't be moved around, but travel can be, and it's a big item. And so what we looked at is, well, how can we take advantage of the loyalty that people feel toward their university and get them to shift their behavior? So we basically built an Expedia in the box for BYU called GoCougs.travel. And underneath it, you sign up as a member for free, and you book lodging the way you would on Expedia or Kayak, but you're getting as good or better deals. Same hotels globally. You book your anniversary trip, you book your Hawaii trip, you book your soccer tournament trip to St. George, and you do it on GoCougs.travel.
So the Mackeys who are on the stream signing in from the quantum of the sea, somewhere north of Seattle, headed to Alaska at the moment, traveling with 14 BYU fans. Had the Mackeys gone through your program, then BYU would have got a piece of the action.
That's right.
And they would still be on their cruise to Alaska.
That's right. So Mackie, send me an email. Go sign up. Next trip, it's on GoCougs.travel.
So it's you're not doing anything out of the ordinary that you wouldn't have done anyway. The difference is that this helps BYU athletics.
Exactly. We've structured it so that effectively, if you think about Expedia, Kayak, et cetera, Marriott, they spend about $17 billion a year marketing their platforms, and most of that's going to Google, Facebook, et cetera.
Yeah.
Our approach is BYU already has the audience. Just point them to GoCougs.travel, and instead of spending all that money, we'll share that with BYU.
Matt Sanders of Waypoint Travel on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, Mountain America Credit Union, and by Eddie. So what are the early returns looking like as this has gotten going? And potentially, this feels like potentially it could be an enormous revenue source.
Yeah, here's what's fun about it. We've just started. We already have hundreds of members on GoCougs.travel. They're already booking their Disney trips. It's fun to see. They're booking the Hawaii trips. I have people telling me all the time, my next Hawaii trip, it's on GoCougs.travel. The real limit here is just getting more members. Let's get more Cougars booking on GoCougs.travel. If you think about it, if only 2% of the alumni shift their budget, or let's say it differently, if we just get 2% of the alumni doing one trip a year, that's about $2 million a year for BYU. That's just alumni, not even the full fan base.
All right, so I don't mean to put you on the spot, but when someone says that means they're about to put you on the spot.
Please.
So you were here when we were talking about the weirdest or most odd places somebody's ever said "Go Cougs" to. Do you have a story with something like that? Because it could be a travel story.
I've got a good one.
Okay.
When I was working for Desert Digital Media, I was down in San Salvador, El Salvador, doing a media boot camp for a media company, of all places. My driver picks me up. And he drives me to the Intercontinental Hotel. On the way there, he tells me, hey, I am a big BYU basketball fan. I'm like, really? Are you LDS? No, I just get BYU TV. I was like, that's amazing.
There we go.
Yo amo Jimmer. Jimmer es increíble. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. So that was my most far-field Go Cougs moment.
So I was when I was a senior at BYU, or the start of my junior to senior year. So I got a job at Good Morning America, and so I was back in New York, and I was a reporter, and I was at the top of the skyscraper at this 15th anniversary of Good Morning America being #1 party. It was also the party that they were introducing me as the newest member of their staff, of their show. And I remember thinking they all knew I was a BYU guy, so I knew I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing anything at this thing, and I felt like I was just like I had a light on me, wherever I was going. It's like, that's what a BYU guy looks like right over there. And I was starving, and I didn't know what I could eat, right? Things were coming on the high trays and this and that. Everyone had champagne and stuff. For the toast, I just snuck in between two tall people and avoided that. But out of nowhere, this kid comes up and goes, "Hey, you the BYU guy?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You hungry?" I said, "I'm starving." He goes, "Let me tell you what you can eat." So as the trays came by, he'd take this. He'd go, "You can't have that. You got this." He gets me this plate of food. And then he goes, you're thirsty? Hang on. He leaves. He comes back with a glass of milk.
Nice.
Now, I'm not a big milk drinker, but I was that night. And so now I got a plate of food and a glass of milk. And I look at him and I go, Are you Mormon? And he goes, "No, but I watch your football team every Saturday night. I'm from New Jersey."
That's crazy.
And then he turned around and he was gone, and I've never seen him since. And he was either an angel or he was really a guy from New Jersey. But his link was what he saw on TV from BYU, and that affects so many people.
Totally. Yeah, and if Blaine were here, I would say, "Hey, Blaine, remember Fowler to Kozlowski?"
Yeah,
right.
Trust me, he remembers.
Yeah. So if you're watching, Blaine, that's for you. But people have watched BYU be this unique, novel, very different university for years, and we stand out. And what's fun for us is Waypoint is doing this with BYU, but all eyes are on BYU. So there are 4 other schools in the Big 12. There's an ACC, there's an SEC school, there's a new Pac-12 school that are also coming onto the Waypoint platform to be able to fund their student athletes through fan loyalty and passion and shifting their behavior.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So you're the guinea pigs.
So BYU's the pioneer. They get to be out ahead of everyone else. They'll learn faster than anybody else. And we do have this remarkable fan base.
Why specifically, why the travel angle? I know you touched on it a little bit, but why was that the one where you felt like that probably had the most juice behind it?
Part of it is it's adjacent to another business that we have been incubating. And I thought, well, how do I start to get the Big 12 travel to my other business, which is a short-term rental management business? And that I just started pulling on the thread. Like, whoa, this is really big. There are 201,000 trips booked from Big 12 fans and inbound Utah and BYU fans for home games. Like, well, how do I go get a piece of that? And then I started looking at it. It's like, oh, no, it's much, much bigger than that. What if we did global travel and fan travel being part of it for away games and home games? But let's go get a piece of all of that travel. And then the number got really, really big.
Linda's on the stream asks, is it just hotels? That's all I'm really seeing on the website. Is it hotels or is it airfare? Is it ships at sea? What do you got?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's hotels and theme parks currently. We can add flights and rental cars. That tends to be where the headaches are.
Yeah.
And low margin to date. There are some opportunities for vacation rentals, Airbnb types down the road, and we're thinking about cruises. Maybe we need to talk to the Cruise with the Cougs guys and see what we can do there.
So you mentioned theme parks. What theme parks are currently part of this? I assume Disneyland.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if there's anything we as members of the church love, it's Disney.
Yeah.
So what other theme parks?
So you got the Disneys, you got the Six Flags, you got the Busch Gardens types all around the country.
Okay.
Where Cougar fans go.
Yeah, right.
I was there a month and a half ago.
Yes, you were. And it wasn't the first time this year.
No, it was not.
All right. Where can Cougar fans go to sign up and how? Let's walk them through the process.
Yeah, super simple. www.GoCougs.travel.
And the link is on the stream and in the show notes. Okay.
And it's super easy. You can sign up with just an email and a password that you decide, or with your Google sign in. It's free. And then once you're in, you'll see it's very familiar. It looks an awful lot like Expedia or any other experience. What's fun is you'll be able to see, in most cases, live comparison of prices. You'll see Orbitz and Travelocity or whatever, and then you'll see the price that's being offered to BYU fans.
Okay. All right, Cougar Nation. There you go. There's a way you can travel, have a good time, and help the Cougars at the same time, and then spread the word. And I think this has tremendous potential. And it's interesting because it's BYU guys thinking up ways to keep getting good football players and basketball players and women's basketball players and tennis players and golfers and all that. But we're in this new world of, is it all about money? It's so different now than when we were going through school, when it wasn't about this much money. But the Big 12 wasn't paying $50 million a school for rights. All of it's gone up, and it is so much about the economy today.
Totally. Well, if you think about these student athletes, my son plays college football, and it's 11 months a year, 6 to 7 days a week. They're accountable, and they have some of May off, and that's when they're healing and working out and working on speed. And so most athletes aren't the AJ DeBonces. They're making some money, but on a dollar per hour, it looks a lot more like Napoleon Dynamite doing
exactly.
Working with chickens, right?
Yeah.
So it's a new world, but BYU fans now have an opportunity to become micro donors. We're super grateful for our big donors. Be micro donors. Just change your behavior. Take a trip a year, and it'll make a difference. And guarantee, here's the Waypoint guarantee: best sleep of your night. Because you'll lay back and you'll dream of 3-pointers, you'll dream of national championship steeplechases, best night of your life.
I like that.
Yeah.
Should we get to the 5 questions?
Yeah, let's do it. 5 questions for Matt, presented by StrategySquare.co. We hit all our guests with these.
Oh gosh.
And we're coming at you.
Got
Rapid fire. Just tell us what comes to your mind. If we don't have a timer or a buzzer, but think like we do.
Sure.
Okay. Favorite sports movie?
Chariots of Fire.
Oh, very nice. Favorite singer or band?
Oh boy, it's got to be U2.
That's a good one.
Okay. Favorite breakfast?
Wait.
Oh.
The new U2 or the old U2?
That's Bono and company.
Wait, there's a new U2?
Well, you mean the new U2 meaning the new stuff?
Oh.
Or the old U2
No, it's the
meaning
classic.
the Unforgettable Fire and that stuff when we were kids.
Right, like Joshua Tree.
Yeah, that's the
right.
stuff.
Yeah,
That's what we grew up with.
All right, favorite breakfast cereal?
Gosh, it's peanut butter granola with vanilla yogurt.
Okay.
Are you just making this up?
No.
You're just throwing it.
My kids know this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Peanut butter granola with vanilla yogurt?
Yeah, my first word as a child was jiao jiao, which means peanut butter, which meant to me peanut butter, and I'm a peanut butter holic.
For a second, I thought he was going to say Reese's peanut butter puffs like the pilots did.
I thought we were going that way, and then granola just came flying at us.
No. It's my attempt to be somewhat healthy, right? It's just like
Okay.
That's fine. I like that. Favorite class at BYU?
Oh, it was. It had to have been philosophy of Judaism with Truman Madsen, because that's where I met a beautiful redhead who I eventually married. I was going to drop the class, and I was super disappointed. And in the back of the class, somebody made a comment. I turned around. There's a beautiful redhead. I was like, this is going to be a great class.
What grade did you get in the class?
I got an A. I'd studied in Israel. I knew Truman. And it turns out knowing Judaism was much more important than knowing like Western philosophy. So I knew all this arcane stuff about Judaism, so I did okay.
Who knew that all those years before you were being prepped to sit in that class on that day?
Right? Exactly.
All right, last one. Favorite BYU moment?
Oh, boy. So I grew up in Weiser, Idaho, home of Hans Olsen and Eli Madrietta, right?
That's right.
And I believe his mom still has a chocolate store there or something like that.
Fawn's Fudge Factory.
Okay,
My dad was in the bishopric with Clark Olsen. We know the Olsens from way back. Great people. So 1980, my dad checks me out of school. We drive all the way around the south of Idaho to Pocatello to get the BYU Holiday Bowl, because that's the closest place that we could get the cable system to be able to watch the Holiday Bowl.
Because it was on the Mislu network.
That's right.
Not everyone had the Mislu network.
No, cable was brand new everywhere.
ESPN wasn't until 84.
Exactly.
Right?
Wasn't it Pitt BYU the first
game?
That's right.
And that's when Blaine, I think, threw that pass to...
Blaine opened the season throwing that pass against Pitt.
Yeah.
And then it was McMahon who threw the pass at the end of the season.
To Haysbert.
Well, it was Bosco that came in.
To Haysbert.
Yeah, you're right. But and Blaine played in that championship game. And then Bosco hit Kelly Smith, right?
So good.
For the game winner.
So here's what happened. We're driving, and it's a terribly foggy drive. So we're slow getting over to Pocatello. So we're all the way from Boise area around to Pocatello. And the whole time, what are we hearing? Dickerson, Craig James, to Dickerson, Craig James, just running over us. We finally get to the hotel, we check in, and it's like middle of the third quarter, and we're already just like emotionally spent. And then it's fourth quarter. Then Vi gets the and then I think punt block, and then that craziness. And so it's, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, and we are jumping up and down on the beds when he comes down with the catch, and the hotel calls us and say, we're going to kick you out of the hotel, because we were going crazy. And I was only a sixth grader. But we were jumping up and down on the bed. So yeah,
as you should have been.
Yeah, it was great.
And the drive home was awesome the next day. That is an awesome story. I've heard a lot of Miracle Bowl stories, but nothing quite like that one.
It was something.
That's classic. We were at a Deacon's Corn party playing football out in the snow, and then came in and watched how bad it was going to get, and then it got better.
Yeah.
And then we won it. Skipped home.
I was 8 years old, so I did not watch it. I was in Independence, Missouri with my family.
You missed a big one.
I did not witness that game live. So all of my memories of it have been watching it since.
Well, it was a great one, and we've had a lot of good ones. And let's see what kind of game we're going to have on Saturday. What's your pick for Saturday night?
I think the BYU defense is really something. The speed, the strength of the defensive line, and then the speed on the edges make it a problem for everybody. I think our defensive backfield is still maturing, and they haven't been really tested yet, so they will be tested more this week. But I'm BYU up by 2 touchdowns. I don't know what the exact score is, but our defense will keep us in the game. I think there's a great bye week for Bear Bachmeyer. You can tell that he's got the tools. Yeah. Just needs the time. He needs the time to kind of settle in and see. And I think we're going to be fine.
It's going to be really intriguing.
This really is a big game for BYU.
Yeah,
it's a big game, and it can really springboard this team right into Big 12 play.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be good. All right, GoCougs.travel. Waypoint Travel, guys, going to help change the game for BYU. And Matt, we're so glad you could come in and hang out with us.
Oh, thanks, Matt. My pleasure. Great to see you both.
Good
Thanks for all you do. Go
Thank
Cougs.
You
Go
got
Cougs.
it. All right, Matt Sanders. Again, that's a really cool idea that can be a game changer. Think of Waypoint Travel next time you're booking your family trip, and GoCougs.travel to get all your info. Sign up for them. And how about that, Shep? The next time, if you're going to Disneyland, you're going to stay somewhere anyway.
Yeah.
Go through Waypoint Travel, and then some of that proceeds goes to the BYU Athletic Department, and you still go on your trip.